Night had a statement that you tagged in your column today for Slate about terrorism and whether America is safer now than we were in the past. Let's take a quick listen to what she said.
I believe we are safer than we were. We are not yet safe enough, and I have proposed over the last years a number of policies that I think we should be following.
Safer than we were before. How's that going to play with the Democratic Party?
Well, this is not in keeping with the Democratic line, which is that President Bush has made us less safe in Iraq. And so it might be a problem for her. She had a strong night, but this is one area where her opponents were really jumping on her after the debate.
Right. What did you think of the mixing it up between the three top-tier candidates? I think Wolf Blitzer last night was really trying to get them to compare and contrast themselves with each other to try to break them out of their talking points.
That's right. At one point, Wolf had to drag it out of John Edwards, who was trying to have it both ways. He was trying to both criticize Obama and Clinton, but also not get in any trouble for directly criticizing them. Wolf had to pull him out and say, exactly who are you talking about? Edwards had the most to gain from that because he's trying to stay in the hunt and try and sort of define himself against the other two, and I think he did that last night.
And some polls in New Hampshire have him running in the #2 position. Some polls in Iowa have him in #1. So if he could finish #1 in Iowa and #2 here in New Hampshire, that might bode well for the nomination. And it was part of what he was doing last night, trying to appeal to this idea that New Hampshire voters really like forceful and confident leaders?
That's exactly right. And Democrats in general want somebody who is forceful and stands up for their principles. They don't want somebody who's wishy-washy and in the middle. And the Edwards people point to those state polls, as you did just now, and the Clinton people want to point to the national ones where she's up by much more.
But as we know, the national polls don't mean anything in this contest,
exactly right.
Particularly at this period of time. Hey, one guy who needed no winding up last night was Senator Joe Biden. Let's take a quick listen to what he said about the situation in Darfur.
By the time all these guys talk, 50,000 more people are going to be dead. They're going to be dead. And I tell you, I guarantee you, we have the capacity, by setting up a no-fly zone, to shut down the Janjaweed.
Well, he had the wagging finger there, and of course Clinton made that very popular. I was wondering, though, was he bordering on angry?
Full of beans last night. The question is, when you look at that clip by itself, he looks maybe a little over-energized. But in the course of the evening, a second-tier candidate has to do something because they don't have much time and they got to break in. We're all talking about the top three. He gave a pretty forceful performance last night. So I don't know how it's going to look in the kind of just the clip as it's played. But overall, he seemed to do pretty well in terms of showing that he had conviction and he cared about something.
Well, he's the guy that's getting a lot of the buzz today. No question about that. John, thanks for your analysis. Appreciate it. CNN, by the way, remains the place for politics today.